Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com, or, of course, if you are watching on our fast-growing YouTube channel, that's Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me, as he always does, THI publisher Andrew Jones. And AJ, we're here for our little weekly look-ahead podcast we've been doing concerning UNC basketball, looking ahead to their two games coming up this week at Miami and at Wake Forest. Carolina getting ready to hit the road after two straight home games. So got a little bit of a road slate coming up. We're going to be hitting on those two games, kind of previewing those. But before we dive into it, I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to our podcast sponsor. I'm sure a lot of you guys who follow us along have heard us blast it, and we're going to continue to blast it. They got awesome products. Rogue Apothecary, go check them out. They specialize in family-grown hemp products, top shelf stuff. So, whatever you're into, there's a ton of stuff out there now. CBD, Delta 8, whatever form you're looking for, tinctures, oils, gummies, all that good stuff. Go check them out. You can find the link to their website in the description below, and make sure you guys use the promo code TARHEELS10 to save. Again, guys, Rogue Apothecary, really good, high-quality family-grown hemp products. I know AJ's used a little bit of it as well, some of the CBD to help them cool down after a late-night game. Did you use any of it after the Georgia Tech game, AJ, or are you too wired?
I did not. No, I fell asleep
probably should have, right?
6. Sleep at 6, up at 10, and ready to rock.
Yeah, that might have backfired on you. Might have been a little.
I'm flying a day early to Miami. I told you I'm taking my wife to Miami, so I'm flying a day early, and I got to grind to get a bunch of stuff done. So, no, I didn't. I don't always take it. Sometimes I just forget, but sometimes when I do,
it works. Man.
Yeah, it's and Kevin Roy on our staff got some samples from Rogue. Richard sent him some samples, and he uses the gummies. You gotta be careful with the gummies. You can't eat the whole gummy. It's pretty strong stuff.
You gotta know your limits. Yeah.
He a couple times had a little bit of the gummies, and he told me that, and I'm quoting the great Kevin Roy here.
Yeah.
I slept like a baby.
I love it, man.
He goes, and I haven't slept in 12 years. So
that sounds like Kevin right there.
That's a Kevin line, and more power to him. And I'll tell you what, his photographs last night from Georgia Tech, best job he's ever done. He's did a great job shooting photos because he used the gummy the night before and got a good night's sleep. So
telling you, man,
and I'm
nothing
not
better
kidding,
than some sleep.
And I'm not kidding on that either. So
yeah, that's real. That's real life, guys. I'm telling y'all, check out Rogue Apothecary, especially if you're have trouble sleeping, like I know AJ and Kevin do at times. CBD, that stuff works really, really well to calm you down and put you to sleep. So go check them out. Link in the description below. Like I said, make sure you guys use the promo code TARHEELS10 to save over there as well. But AJ, obviously Carolina coming off an 88-65 win over Georgia Tech on Saturday night in the Smith Center. Really impressive performance, probably one of the best overall performances we've seen from the Tar Heels all season, and particularly on the offensive side of the ball, where they were just really, really efficient for most of the game and looked really good with their ball movement. It was a very, very good night offensively for the Tar Heels. And, tough games coming up this week for Carolina, though. They travel to Miami on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. tip-off. Obviously, Miami's sitting atop the conference right now, 5-1, 13-4 overall. Tied, basically. I know they played an extra game than Duke and North Carolina, but basically tied atop the conference with Duke and North Carolina. So Miami having a really good season so far, playing some really good basketball, and heading on the road down there is always going to be a tough one. Then obviously Carolina playing on Saturday, 8 p.m. tip-off in Winston-Salem against Wake Forest. Wake Forest coming off a pretty impressive win over UVA in Charlottesville on Saturday. I know UVA has been struggling a little bit this season, not the UVA of old that we've seen, but Wake Forest playing some good basketball as well and seem to be kind of doing some really nice stuff under their new coach. So two tough games this week. Obviously on the road makes it that much tougher. But AJ, you're obviously going to be at both games. You're flying down to Miami on Monday. Before we dive into the individual matchups, just how tough of a week do you think it is for the Tar Heels? Because like I said, big games, Carolina's sitting, atop a really good position in the ACC right now. They can go pick up 2 wins over these two teams on the road. Carolina's going to be feeling really, really good going into that Virginia Tech game, who's really, really struggling on January 24th. So big opportunity this week for the Tar Heels, I think, is the best way to put it.
Huge opportunity, and it's a one game at a time situation as well, which I think is where this club best fits mentally. Just learn how to consistently approach games the way they approach Virginia and then the way they approach Georgia Tech. That was in question. because they had admittedly not always been completely focused going into games, having won big at Georgia Tech in December and then hosting the Yellow Jackets and having a whole week to think about it. I thought one of the most impressive things about Saturday night was the fact that they had a great verve going into that game. I mean, they were dialed in and they played like it. Leaky Black was sensational defensively. Armando was Armando. Beast mode. I wrote a column last week, said, no, it's not beast mode. It's Bacot mode. It's a different level now. He's approaching a level some really big time players over the last 30 years have performed. Some of the people that he's compared to now with back-to-back 29-point games, Hansbrough,
he's an elite
Jameson, and Hubert Davis did it when he was a senior. He had a huge stretch of games his senior year. So they got a lot, it's either Caleb or RJ. One of them is great, it seems like, in a game, fantastic. And RJ was fantastic Saturday. So I think the club's in a good spot, but this is a really difficult week for them, and it will be a telltale week. We've seen them play well at home against two teams that are not very good. Virginia, this is the worst Virginia team I've seen maybe since Tony got there.
Yeah.
And Georgia Tech, they've got some nice players. You have to guard Georgia Tech because if you don't, guys like DeVoe and Usher could take you apart. But Carolina guarded them, and they were third by 35, I think, at one point in that game. So it's a different story now. It's a different level. But Miami has warts, and maybe Miami figured out a lot of those warts because the Hurricanes had some ugly performances. But then they won 9 in a row, including a win at Duke. And then they went down and lost at Florida State when Tallahassee is not an easy place to play. I think Florida State's one of those clubs that is getting better and will be better in a month from now than they are now. I'm not sure how many ACC teams will. In fact, when I think about the ACC and the NCAA tournament, I put Florida State in. I think that, you got Duke, Carolina, Florida State, Miami, and Wake Forest right now appear to be the 5 that have a chance of going. Everybody else is they don't have one wart. They got like 20 warts, and I just have a hard time seeing other clubs making a move. But 2 of those teams are on that list. Carolina plays on the road this week. So it's a big week. It's a one game at a time week. I hate the cliche, but it's true. Sometimes cliches stick because they mean something.
Yeah.
And this is clearly a one game at a time situation. But in a week from now, when you and I sit down and do a podcast for the 3 games they have coming up the following week, we're going to learn a lot about this club. I think I've been telling you guys all year long, I think this club has a chance of being really good. They had to get better in certain areas and then become consistent in those areas. They still need to be better defensively, even though they were fantastic last night. They need to be better at getting offensive rebounds because they're not going to shoot 47 or 50% from the floor every night. So they got to be able to grab some of those misses and put them back, do a better job of that. And sometimes they turn the ball over in situations that lead to points. They're not throwing the ball out of bounds where it's a dead ball and the other club's the defense could go back and set and the other club's going to run a basic half-court offense. A lot of times, even if they're not fast break points, they're secondary baskets that they give up on with turnovers. So this week, all those things will be challenged because of the way that Miami plays and the way that Wake Forest plays and the challenges that you have trying to stop Cam McGusty and Isaiah Wong and Charlie Moore driving. The challenge that Alondas Williams of Wake Forest is going to present with his driving, his ability to create off the dribble, and with the transfer kid from Wake Forest, I'm drawing a blank with his name, Laravia. He's another kid that kind of will challenge Carolina defensively. So we're going to learn a lot about Tar Heels this week, and I'm very excited because there aren't a lot of those games in the ACC this year, and the Heels have 2 of them this week. So journalistically speaking, I'm pretty excited because I get to learn a lot about the club that I cover.
Yeah, most definitely. AJ, I want to take a little side road real quick. If you, I want to hit on just Armando Bacot real quick before we dive into the matchups a little bit more. Yeah. We've obviously covered. I was there a lot during his freshman season, basically at all the games. You've been on the road. You've been at every single game essentially that Armando Bacot's played in his time as a Tar Heel, barring a few last year because of COVID. But what has changed with Armando Bacot? Because for me, obviously he stretched his game a little bit. You see, he's able to hit some jumpers, hit a 3 every once in a while. He's definitely been able to stretch the floor a little bit. But for me, it's not necessarily something I can pinpoint. We've talked about his maturity a lot. I think he's matured a ton on and off the court, but it just seems like he has that it factor now. He's just a really dominant player when he's in the zone, and more times than not, right now. He is in the zone. So in your opinion, what have you kind of seen change in Armando Bacot to get from where he was freshman year, even last year being inconsistent, to being right now one of the guys, arguably the front runner right now for ACC Player of the Year if he keeps playing like this?
Well, I think it begins with personal maturity. Because once you mature and you open up that door, it allows for a lot of other things to spring up in a positive way. His development, he has improved parts of his game, and then he's in the process of refining now. If you have someone in your family, a son or a daughter that's a post player, you think they're going to be a forward, and you want them to learn how to properly post up somebody, how to properly feel the defender on their back, how to properly seal off a defender, how to properly use their hip, the economy of his footwork around the basket now versus 2 years ago or even last year at times, the drop step, the spin, the little soft hooks, and the assertiveness. Once he has a beeline to the rim, he goes to the rim. He's not trying to put up a little soft thing from 2 feet. He flushes. He had 5 dunks last night against Georgia Tech. And it wasn't because he was showboating or anything like that. They were the most efficient, high percentage play to make, so he made them. So that's what you see from Armando. But I'll tell you what, you want to think about the concentration. He's 22 for 25 from the free throw line in his last 4 games. It's 88%. Remember the balls clanking off the back of the rim 2 years ago and even last year? I mean, he has turned that into a weapon. So if you foul Armando, he's going to make you pay most of the time. And he was 9 for 9 against the Yellow Jackets from the free throw line. So he's doing all those things, but he's not forcing stuff. His efficiency, last year he was highly efficient in scoring points without getting a lot of shots. And he shot about 62% from the floor, raising it from 46 as a freshman. He's in the 64% range, I think, right now. He's taking more shots than he did a year ago. And there are times where he's been challenged at the rim and he doesn't score, but he's been grabbing a lot of his misses. He's got a very high percentage of their offensive rebounds because they don't have a lot. He had 9 against Virginia. He had 3 last night, but he rebounds his own misses because he stays with it. He's relentless. A lot of guys get offensive rebounds on the weak side. A lot of guys will get offensive rebounds just because somebody misses a box out. Armando gets offensive rebounds because he's relentless in going after the ball, and he's smart. The shooter has the best idea how the ball is going to come off the rim more than anybody else. And Armando recognizes that. So if he knows he's a little strong on a ball and it's going to come off the other side of the rim, he knows where to go get it. He's got a nose for it. If he knows it's coming off soft and it's going to be a little short, he's got a nose for that as well. His feel for the game, his sense of his surrounding, his awareness of teammates, because his assist numbers have been up as well. His ability to dribble away from a double team and pass out or kick out leading to an assist. Every area of his game has improved significantly. And I'll tell you another thing too. You could go on our Twitter feed and look for it before yesterday's game, but I stood right behind him during warmups and he was shooting threes from the right corner and they were effortless. It looked good. And the ball was nothing but net on most of them. I actually turned the camera down to the floor so people could see he was behind the 3-point circle. Go hunt that out at Heel Illustrated and check it out.
Check us out.
He's doing more of that in warm-ups now than he did a month ago. And he's taken a couple of threes here recently. That's part of the game that is expanding that Hubert has talked about, because Hubert never fails to mention Armando wants to play in the NBA. Armando can play in the NBA, but he needs to do a few more things than he does right now. And that's part of it. And we're seeing a more well-roundedness to his game, not just a guy who gets the ball in the blocks and bullies his way to the basket. Armando last year called it bully ball. Remember after Pittsburgh, he said it's bully ball. But there's a lot of finesse. There's a lot of refinement in his game now that wasn't there before. So that's the short answer of why Armando is playing very, very well. He's an exceptional college basketball player now. And it's an absolute pleasure to watch a guy grow into that as he has in his 3 years at Carolina.
Yeah, he's been big time. 7 straight double-doubles, I believe 12 on the season. Leads the team, averaging a double-double, leads the team in points, rebounds, and blocks. So really big time year for Armando Bacot. Like I said, if he keeps playing like he's been playing in recent weeks in particular, he might go ahead and win that ACC Player of the Year. Where I know a lot of fans are backing that. We'll see what happens, but it's hard to deny that when he's playing as good as he is right now. AJ, let's dive into this Miami matchup a little bit more. Talk about the key to victory for Carolina. I think the key for Carolina going down there, and I'll ask you this, and you might agree with it, is I think it's hitting the glass. I know we talk about that a lot, but I'm over here looking at the total ACC stats this year. Obviously, Carolina, the top rebounding offensive team in the ACC at 39.9 per game. In contrast, Miami dead last in the ACC in offensive rebounding, with 30.9. Defensive rebounding, Carolina leading the way in that in the league as well at 30.8. And Miami's 13th out of 15th in defensive rebounding with 35.5. So, I mean, AJ, for me, that's the key. I know we talk about it a lot with this Carolina team, and we've talked about it a lot with Carolina teams in the past as well. Hitting the glasses is something that's very important. It's something this program really has always been good at. It seems like, going back to, Roy Williams as well. Is that the key for you down there? Obviously, there's other keys as well. I know Miami's a good team, a good offensive team, but if you look at their stats, they're not necessarily, leading the league in any of these major categories in terms of, shooting percentage or total offense, total defense. When you look at that contrast in rebounding on both the offensive, defensive side of the ball between Carolina and Miami, that seems like if you're the Tar Heels, that's what you really want to exploit against this Hurricanes team. Would you agree with that? Is that kind of the key that you're looking at going into it?
Yeah, it is. In fact, that's the first thing in my 5 keys is hitting the glass. And I haven't done hitting the glass, dominating the boards in my 5 keys as often this year as I have in previous years, because that's not as much a part of what this team is. However, the Tar Heels are slowly creeping up the rebound margin rankings. They're actually number 9 in the country now in rebound margin, and they're doing that without being a great offensive rebounding team. They're rebounding about 30% of their own misses. It might actually be below 30 now. I haven't factored in last night yet. And that is with compared to last year when they were at 44.6% grabbing their own misses. Now, that team had to, because they didn't shoot the ball well. But understand what I'm saying. It's not this is a percentage of misses. This isn't just raw numbers. Of course, they're not going to have as many this year because they're shooting a higher percentage. But in terms of the percentage of misses, they're grabbing a lot fewer. But one thing that they're doing really, really well is they're not giving opponents a lot of second chance opportunities. If you saw last night, RJ got 5 rebounds, and they were all situations that, if Georgia Tech did a little bit better job in the offensive glass, could have been putback situations, but they weren't. So the Tar Heels are boxing out well on the defensive end. A lot of guys are chipping in and getting rebounds on the defensive end. And, of course, Armando is just grabbing so many things out there. So rebounding is not a strength for Miami. It is a strength for North Carolina. And I think when you look at those numbers and the way Miami doesn't do a good job on the defensive glass at all, they're minus 4.5 in rebound margin and near the bottom of the nation. Yep. This is a situation where if the Tar Heels are ready to play, you could have an off night shooting. You could struggle at times handling the ball and, commit some silly turnovers or whatever the case may be. But rebounding is something that should never, ever, ever slump. You should never have a bad night on the glass. And this is a game that Carolina might not shoot great from the field. They might turn the ball over 18 times, but if they dominate the boards and give themselves extra possessions as a result, they could still win the game. And I think that that's number 1 on my keys. And the other thing about Miami too is when people look at their whole numbers, and rebounding, they've kind of been not that great no matter what throughout the year, but some of their numbers kind of disregard everything before the 9-game winning streak when they started to figure things out. Because since then, they've been a lot better in certain areas. And I'll tell you one area, Jacob, is perimeter shooting. Their last 3 home wins, they've beaten State, Wake, and Syracuse. They're 30 for 67 from 3 at home.
Wow.
And in the win at Duke, they were only 4 of 16. So it wasn't like they were just hot from the perimeter.
Yeah.
Their ability to drive. They have 3 guys that can put the ball on the floor, really 4 that can put the ball on the floor, but 3 that you really got to worry about in Moore, McGusty, and Wong. And that's an area Carolina struggled some. And Duke had some issues with the dribble drive. Miami could be so good and so efficient with the dribble drive, and they actually shoot 47% from the floor. So they're shooting a very high percentage inside the circle because they're getting a lot of looks. They either get to the rim, they're really good with the pull-up stuff, with the floaters. They're a difficult team to defend because of that, and they also have the ability to go off from the perimeter. Wong is not having a great year from outside, but I'm telling you, I could see him hitting 6 threes on Tuesday night. He's that kind of player. McGusty's that kind of guy. Even Wardenberg, they got him back now. They didn't have him last year. He's the big kid. He could step out and shoot too. So this is a challenge defensively, but if they could dominate the glass the way they should, they could offset maybe not being great defensively. They could offset not hitting a ton of shots and shooting at near 50% like they do so often.
Yeah, Heels need to take care of the ball as well. Miami, top team in the ACC in turnover margin at 4.24. Forced 235 turnovers their opponents have and just have 163 as a team.
They get after it.
Yeah, they do, man. They
do.
Get after
Carolina, they can frustrate you.
One of the worst.
Yeah, and Jim Larinaga's teams. You go back to George Mason. When that team made the Final Four run, one of the things that they did to other clubs. I remember when they beat Carolina. I remember some of the Carolina players like, man, they just got in our drawers.
Yeah,
they got after us, and Miami does the same thing too. So this is going to be one of those games where the Tar Heels may have to win a little bit ugly. But to your point, Jacob, if they dominate the glass, boy, that can get you past a lot of other areas that don't go as planned, and that is an area that they can exploit and should exploit in this game. And if they win, they're going to have big time rebounding advantage in this game.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's switch the focus to Wake Forest real quickly before we head on out of here. Obviously, like I said, that's a Saturday night game, 8 p.m. in Winston-Salem. Always a tough place to play. I think even more this year. And crowds in recent years have been pretty weak just because of how the program's been. But I think that's kind of took a turn on its head this year with the momentum around the program and how good Wake Forest is playing for the most part this season. I think it's a really good opportunity for the Tar Heels to go get another win in Winston-Salem. If they can get one in Miami and finish it off with a win against Wake Forest in a tough environment, like I said, that would cap off a really good week. So looking at Wake Forest, AJ, I haven't been able to watch a ton of them this year. I did watch a little bit of the Duke game, and Duke, credit to them for going out there and really just, weathering the storm early on and just carrying it out through most of the game. It was a really good performance from the Blue Devils, who, you kind of expect that going up against them. But what do you think the key is against Wake Forest? Because I do think this is a good Wake Forest team. I think this is a much improved Wake Forest team. But I do think this is a Wake Forest team, again, that Carolina is more talented than. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to beat them, as we know. But what do you think the key is in Winston-Salem for the Tar Heels on Saturday night?
The number one thing is they have to match Wake's energy. Mm-hmm. Wake's going to have a ton of energy, and they've got some bouncy dudes that when they play with energy, they can create problems for you. Alondas Williams is really good, and Brady Manick could give the Alondas Williams scouting report, and he can give the Brady Manick scouting report. That'll be interesting too. I'll tell you what. One of my favorite person in the media, my best friend in the media is Brett Friedlander of the North State Journal. Yeah, you can follow him on Twitter at BFriedACC. It's
he's active on Twitter now, guys. If you need some, if you want some tweets rolling at you, follow BFried.
Yeah, everything from sports to weather to people screwing his donut order at Dunkin' Donuts to complaining about the homeowners association. Brett's got you covered on all that.
Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. I think he's Ross Martin's favorite follower on Twitter as well. He definitely is.
But Brett is phenomenal at what he does, and I respect his opinion as much as anybody's in the business. And he's covered a lot of Wake Forest games. So I asked him, I said, what is it about Wake? Tell me a couple things because I've seen Wake play on TV. I haven't seen the Deacons in person this year. And he just said, well, number one, Alondas Williams. His ability to create off the dribble there are very few guys in the league that can do all he can off the dribble. And there's a confidence that he plays with, and you could see that even when he's struggling, he plays with tremendous confidence. I think he makes everybody else more confident on the court. And the other thing is, he said with LaRavia, the transfer, he's a kid that's kind of a matchup issue because he's kind of long, and he could. I've seen him have a lot of success on the baseline. He could shoot that 12-footer. He could do a lot of different things. He could run the floor. They have a lot of bodies. They have a lot of confident bodies. I don't think that they're great at point guard. They're still trying to figure that out. But they can attack you from the wing. They can attack you from the baseline. They've got some size. They defend. Steve Forbes, I think, is doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
I was talking to Josh Grant, a radio guy in the Triad, last night before the game about, hey, boy, Wake won at Virginia because Virginia was leading for a while in that game. And his immediate response was, dude, they're good. I'm telling you, they're good. So a lot of people whom I respect are saying Wake is good. And you know what? when you win at Virginia Tech and you win at Virginia in a 3-week span like they have,
it's impressive.
You got a good basketball team, even with the Cavaliers being down, even with the Hokies still trying to figure some stuff out. Those are good wins. Those are wins that Wake didn't get under Bizdelik. They didn't get those under Danny Manning. It's clearly a different program. It's clearly on the uptick. And after what they learned that didn't go right in the Duke game, when the Duke kind of went into a high gear and Wake didn't react to it well, they didn't join that gear. I think the Deacons learned a lot, and they'll be more ready for Carolina if the Tar Heels hit that gear. So I think it's going to be a difficult challenge for Carolina. Wake is an efficient offensive team. They play well inside the arc. They can defend. They get after you. They're going to be a lot of energy. Steve Forbes has pressed a lot of right buttons this year. He did that where he was before. People I talked to in the business say, they're amazed that nobody else scooped him up sooner. That he's just one of those dudes that when you watch his teams play, the man can coach. So, and it should be I hope it's full. It's been really disappointing the last, 5 or 6 times I've been there where it hasn't been full. As you know, and some of our people listening know, I covered the league for years. And I covered the Chris Paul days. I covered Skip Prosser. And I loved going to Wake Forest back in 03 and 04 and 05 and 06. That place was rocking. Nasty Deke was doing his
tie-dye
dance when they would do tie-dye, when they do jump around.
And they're bringing the tie-dye back, which I don't know why
it's good. They need to. Look, that was their little niche. That was something that made Wake unique. And I thought it was a great thing. And the students used to have to sign in when they were going to games. They had like 3,400 students, and there were games they have 2,800 students in the arena.
Which is
great, fantastic.
Great atmosphere when it's packed.
So I hope the atmosphere is like that. It would be great for the ACC, great for college basketball, great for our personal experiences. I think it'd be great for the Tar Heels to go into something like that and play, because their road games so far, Georgia Tech had a nice crowd and a pretty nice atmosphere, but that's not like it was back in the Thriller Dome days. Yeah. Boston College was a joke. There were 5,000 people in the building. 4,000 of them were Carolina fans, all right? Yeah. And then they went to Notre Dame. It was before the students came back. There were all kinds of COVID restrictions. They had about maybe 6,000 in the building, but it wasn't a great atmosphere. No band, no cheerleaders. So they're going to get a little bit of an atmosphere at Miami, but it's never great there, unless Carolina and Duke are ranked in the top 5 and have a bunch of big name players. But they should get an atmosphere at Wake, and I hope they get an atmosphere at Wake, because I want to see how this team responds in that kind of environment against a club that's going to throw for lack of a better cliche, the kitchen sink at them, because they will. Oh, yeah. So we'll learn a lot about Carolina this week, Jacob. I'm excited about it. I want to see how much this team has truly grown, because it's one thing to clobber people at home. It's one thing to clobber really flawed teams, and that's who they've played so far in league play. These clubs are also a little bit flawed, and they can be exposed and exploited, but they're not nearly as flawed as the clubs that Carolina has played before. And like I said, if there are 5 NCAA tournament teams in this league, Miami and Wake Forest are 2 of them.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's an interesting week. Big week coming up for the Tar Heels. I think it's going to be a fun week to cover as well. I think a lot of Carolina fans are looking forward to it as well, because like you said, these are 2 tests. These are 2 really good teams. Miami's sitting atop the ACC. I believe Wake Forest is sitting in 6th right now, but anything can happen. You get a win and you move up the ACC real quick with how tight it is right now. So yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, AJ will be down in Miami, one of his favorite trips of the year too. So I know he's looking forward to that one, especially this time of year with the snow outside right now.
A high of 69 on Monday, so they'll be complaining about it being wintertime.
Yeah, literally. I'm about to say that's cold for Miami.
But I'm packing my shorts.
Got to. Yeah. No jeans, no long pants down there, man, because you ain't going to be wearing shorts for a while up here. So
jeans on the flight. Jeans on the flight.
Jeans on the flight. Yep, 100%.
And I got to wear long pants to the game. I may just wear jeans to the game. I did that. I wore jeans at BC and I wore jeans at Notre Dame. So, I've broken my rule, which is okay. I'm pretty comfortable with it. It's my rule, so I guess I can break it, right?
Hey, man, especially, you look at the benches across college basketball now. The suit, the days of coaches wearing suits, I think, is officially gone. So I think media guys should be allowed to wear jeans.
I actually did jeans and an untucked polo shirt at Georgia Tech.
That's lax for you, man.
Yeah, I like it. I like that.
I like it.
It's got to be comfortable, man.
Hey, man, you got to be comfortable. You got to,
I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this a long time. I could kind of write my own script now, right?
100%. I think you've paid your dues. I think you can wear jeans with all the stuff you've covered. I think we'll let that slide on this one. So we'll let AJ enjoy his time down there, and obviously he'll be in Winston-Salem for that game as well. Just a quick trip over to Winston, which is I've been there a few times, and I always enjoy going over there. You know, good atmosphere or not, that's a good fun game to cover. Nice arena to go in, and obviously
it's nice, Jacob. It's nice to see Wake Forest on the rebound because it's an important program in the conference, and
it is.
You know, when Wake Forest and NC State are also good, ACC basketball is a lot more fun.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, especially in the state, it's just big time to have, you know, NC State. I know Carolina fans would like to hear that, but Wake Forest too. It's good for college. It's good for ACC basketball.
Real quickly before we go, and I know you got to run and I got to run too, good. But when I was with the Wilmington Star News, I think it was the 04-05 season in December, and there was 1 week where Wake, State, Duke, and Carolina were all ranked in the top 10, and I had season credentials at all four. And I had a week where I covered all four at home, and they were all in the top 10. I'm not sure if they were all in the top 10 that week when I covered all four at home. It was around that time. And that was like, that was just, man, this is the greatest job ever. Because that's to me, I'm an ACC basketball guy. And I love the history of the league. I love when the history percolates. I love when the current times remind us of the past, which would be cool. That ACC documentary about the tournament's coming up here in less than a month, which I'm looking forward to seeing. I know some other people are too. Mm-hmm. So, you know, personal reasons I'm looking forward to seeing that, which would be pretty cool.
100%.
But when those schools are good, to me, it just, when the ACC reeks of ACC basketball, that's a good thing.
No doubt. Yeah. Hopefully Wake Forest will continue to kind of build after this season. Cause like you said, when they're as good as they are, and this isn't a Wake Forest podcast, but when they're a good team in the league, like it makes the state look better, it makes Tobacco Road look better.
It makes Carolina better. For the Carolina 100%. Fans, I try to tell them, you know, you want these other teams to be better because it's better for Carolina.
Yeah,
100%. People were saying, in December, they're telling me, AJ, stop writing about how the other schools need to be better. Carolina wins will take care of themselves. No, that's not true, because there are not a lot of Q1 opportunities, not even a lot of Q2 opportunities in this league. That's what it's about. Not this league. You got the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the SEC. Those teams are racking up Q1 and Q2 games all over the place. Carolina's not doing that. No. So, and look at Michigan. They're now 7-7. That's not going to help them. No. They've got to. The better the teams are in the league, the better it is for Carolina. I'm telling you 100%. Right now.
No, you're not lying about that, AJ. It's better. And this is a little bit of a down ACC this year when you look at some of the teams that are usually good. Louisville struggling, UVA struggling, you know, Florida State not very good. I mean, it's not a great league. So if you can get teams like this, especially in state, you don't have to travel far to play some good teams. That'll definitely boost your NCAA tournament chances. Tar Heels definitely need to pick up some more signature wins and could start this week on Tuesday night with that game at Miami, and, you know, a win at Wake Forest would be a solid win for them as well. So we'll see how the Tar Heels do. Like I said, AJ will be at both those games. Make sure you guys keep it locked to TarHeelIllustrated.com. And of course, our YouTube channel just hit 9,000 subscribers. So we're looking to hit 10K by the end of basketball season, which I think is very doable. So tell your friends, keep sharing our content, keep liking it. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell as well, so we can continue to grow. I'll build a little awesome community over here, and, you know, hopefully we can get past that 10K mark, which I'm banking on it for the end of basketball season. So let's see if we can make that happen. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. Like I said, guys, make sure you keep it locked to TarHeelIllustrated.com. If you want to head on over to our website, you can sign up for just $8.33 a month to become a premium member. Great time to do it. A lot of stuff going on around here. David's been killing the basketball recruiting as well. Dean is all over the football recruiting as well too. So make sure you guys check it out. Subscribe for just $8.33 a month. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks.